In the previous couple of sections, we've talked about the step response of a circuit that contained an inductor and a resistor. And we basically drilled it in that that's going to always yield an exponential increase up to the final value of the current in the circuit. And it's going to be governed, the shape of it will be governed by the time constant of the circuit. Now we're going to turn our attention to capacitor circuits, RC circuits, and also talk about the step response. So just to recap everything, originally in the course we covered natural response of inductor circuits and the natural response of capacitor circuits. Then we just now talked about step response of inductor circuits, and now we're finally closing the loop by talking about the step response of capacitor circuits. So just like we've done for all of the previous derivations, we're going to turn our attention to this circuit here. Notice we have a source, a resistor here, which makes up like a Norton equivalent circuit of any source that you might have. And then you have a switch there, and then you have your capacitor. And so originally the capacitor is open, and then we close the switch. The current attempts to surge in and charge up that capacitor. So the current is going to begin to flow into the capacitor, and also the voltage across the capacitor is going to begin to rise, so as the capacitor charges up. But we've learned up until this point that nothing happens instantaneously in circuits, right? So during this transient response period, everything's going to be doing things exponentially. You probably shouldn't be too surprised by that now. So if we wanted to derive this using the whole differential equation thing like I talked about, what you could do is a node voltage method, and you basically could look at this as a node, and you basically sum the currents going into the node, and that's going to lead to a differential equation. Coming into this leg, you know what the current is, it's just I sub s. And if you look at this being V sub c, then the voltage here is V sub c, so the current going through here is V sub c over R. Okay, that's not too hard. The current through here, if you think about the current through a capacitor, is C times dV dt. So C times dV, this voltage here, dt. So that's where the derivative comes into play. So that's all coming about as doing a node voltage or a Kirchhoff current law, I guess you could look at it, just coming from this node there. You sum all the currents coming in, you're going to get a derivative. If you start separating all that stuff and integrating it, separating variables, what you're going to find is when you do it, you're going to get an exponential response, just like we did for the last circuit. Because as I've been saying over and over again, capacitors and inductors are very similar. The details are different, the exact way in which it happens is a little bit different, but the overall idea of those guys being duals of one another is basically the same. So if we do all of this stuff, if we solve the ordinary differential equation, we're going to get the following. I'm not going to do it all because it just takes up a lot of board space. I don't think it really adds to your understanding. What you're going to get is the voltage across this capacitor, which is labeled over here, as a function of time, is going to be something like this. I sub s times r plus v naught minus I sub s times r e to the minus t over tau. And this is, of course, for t greater than 0. So this is what the equation looks like. Now, at first glance, it looks a little different, but the form of it should look kind of familiar to you from the inductor part. We had something out in front, we had something in parentheses with a subtraction, and then we have e to the minus t over tau. So it looks kind of similar. So the way you need to read this equation, as I've kind of been trying to illustrate exactly how to think about it, this V naught is the initial voltage on the capacitor right as the switch closes. So for instance, if this capacitor were charged up to a couple of volts before we even close the switch, then V naught would be equal to a couple of volts. It's the initial voltage on the capacitor before the switch moves. It's the initial condition, the same as I naught before. This I sub s times R, it is the source current times R, but the way you really should look at it, what do you think you're going to get with I times R? It's going to give you, over a long period of time, after we close the switch, think of it this way, when we close the switch and everything does its thing, this capacitor is going to look like an open circuit. Remember, inductors look like short circuits after a long period of time. Capacitors look like open circuits after a long period of time because look, there's a nice fat gap right between those plates, so it really is kind of an open circuit. So after a long period of time elapses, this open circuit's going to kind of not even be in the circuit anymore, and the voltage across the capacitor is going to be the voltage across this resistor. V is equal to I times R. So this guy here, you can think of it as the final voltage across capacitor as t approaches infinity. And the same thing here. This term right here is the same kind of thing. So we've had very similar kind of discussions before, like, hey, you should look at this as being, what happens to the current as time goes to infinity. Here I'm trying to tell you the same duality exists. So this equation really looks really similar to what we've seen before. And when you plug in all this stuff, the exponential here is going to end up, you're going to start at a certain voltage and you're going to end up charging up as you go on to infinity. So you're going to charge up exponentially. So this is the voltage there across the capacitor. Now remember that the current through a capacitor is C times dV dt. So if we were to take the derivative of this whole thing and then multiply by the capacitance, we would get the current flow through the capacitor. And I'm not going to do all that, but it's pretty easy. I mean, this is a constant, this is a constant. I mean, there's an exponential here. You can take the derivative of all that stuff, simplify everything, remembering that the time constant in this case is R times C, the RC time constant, the same one we always talk about for capacitors. When you do all of this derivative business, multiply by this, simplify everything, rather than waste the board space, I'll just tell you what you would get is I sub s minus V naught over R e to the minus t over tau, right? And this is exponential decay. So they're exponential in both cases. In this case, if you were to plot this function, you would find the voltage on this capacitor after the switch closes starts at a initial value, usually 0, and it increases up to a final value, which is going to end up being this value right here, the final voltage across the capacitor, right? And then you could have the current flow through the capacitor. This is an exponential decay. So right as the switch closes, the current is a high value and then ends up decaying down because of this guy right here. So it's very similar. In fact, it's so similar, I also wrote down on the board here, these are the equations for the inductor circuit. In other words, this is the current flow through the inductor, this is the voltage across the inductor in the same situation. You close a switch, you let the source do its thing, and then, then you're done. So look at how similar this is. The current flow through the inductor, you have a term plus parentheses, term minus term, e to the minus t over tau. Here, term plus parentheses, term minus term, e to the minus t over tau. Further notice, the first guy inside the parentheses is the initial voltage on the capacitor. In other words, the initial value. Here, the first guy in the parentheses is the initial current flowing through the inductor. The term that sits out in front is also the same term that sits inside the parentheses, and in this case, it's V over R. So it's the final value of the inductor current as time goes to infinity. You let this time go to infinity, this whole term drops away. This is the final value of the current in the inductor. So this represents the final value in that circuit. Here, this represents the final voltage on the capacitor. If you let t go to infinity, this whole term drops away. This would then be the voltage across this resistor, I times R. That would be the final value of the voltage across that capacitor as time goes to infinity. That's what this term is. It also mirrors that. So these two equations, the step response equation for the inductor and the step response equation for the capacitor, really are the same thing. They really are. It's like the final value of what you care about, and then you have the initial value minus the final value of what you care about, and then you have e to the minus t over tau, which is common to all of these things. Let's look down here. The current flow through the capacitor is the source minus some guy here, e to the minus t over tau. Here you have the source minus some stuff here, e to the minus t over tau. So there again, also very similar as well. So really, there's an incredible duality between the equations for RC circuits and the equations for LR circuits. And so that's why you need to really just keep that in mind. In fact, we're going to do a problem, and then I'm going to do another section that's going to tie that in even more for you and show you how you can generalize like that. It's important for you to realize that they're very similar. By the way, these equations look similar like this because the differential equations that you get from writing, from putting it in the circuit and writing it down, the differential equations are very similar. That's why the answers become very similar. So this is what you need to know for this section. The voltage across the capacitor, this is a charging, an exponential increase from 0, if this initial, or from this initial value of whatever it is, up to the final value. And this guy is an exponential decay of the current starting from some initial value on to 0. If you let time go off to infinity, it's going to drive everything off to 0. The one thing I'm going to tell you before I leave here is that this equation, all of these equations are written in terms of some source current with a resistor, and of course it's hooked up to a capacitor with a switch. You could have a circuit where you have a voltage and a resistor. In other words, it might look a little different than this, and then you might not know what to plug in. You may not have an I sub S. But don't forget, when you have a voltage source and a resistor there, like a Thevenin type of arrangement, you can always convert it to a Norton arrangement. So, and then you can use this arrangement in these equations here. So the easiest thing to do is if your problem gives you a current source, like I've drawn it here, just use the equations as is. If the circuit you have, if the source that you're connecting is a voltage source with a resistor up here, then do yourself a favor, convert it to a Norton, which is what we have here, and we've talked about that in previous lessons already a long time ago. Convert it to a Norton equivalent. It takes just a minute or two, and then you have it in this form that you can then apply these guys to. So I wanted to introduce this guy here and draw the conclusions of the duality between the inductor and the capacitor circuits. Make sure you understand that. Follow me on to the next section. We're going to get some practice using this guy, and then we're going to wrap this whole course up with really drawing some broad conclusions and sort of tying up everything that we've done up until this point with step response and natural response. Learn anything at mathandscience.com.